welcome to my channel. My name is Rosika. I am the Midnight Reader. It is a play on the Midnight Library because I thought that was funny. I do a lot of things to make myself laugh because you gotta enjoy your life. This is a booktube channel where we talk about the books I'm reading, the books you're reading, the books I want to read. Today I thought I would do the Booktube Newbie channel because I'm basic and I'm okay with being a cliche. Plus it's actually a really nice tag and it kind of tells you a little bit about what this channel is about. So question 1, why did you start this channel? Life is short, man. Okay, life is short. I've always wanted to be a member of the YouTube creator community and I just basically never had anything interesting to talk about. And it occurred to me that I've read or will be on track to read 100 books this year and that maybe I do have something to talk about. Also, all of my friends are tired of hearing me talk about books. So mostly I wanted to meet other members of the booktube community. I wanted to be a booktube creator. And this is gonna go great, I'm sure. Question 2, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to booktube? You're never gonna see a haul video, probably ever, unless someone like gifts me a bunch of books because I don't have very many books. The shelf up here that I'm next to is basically all the books that my parents were cleaning out of their house where I was like, I love them, please don't throw them away. So these are books I grew up loving. And then I have a small shelf downstairs. I move a lot for my husband's job and basically books are heavy. And after your like 5th or 6th move, you really start questioning how much you love the very heavy items that you're putting in a box and whether or not you're gonna read them again and whether or not every single one of them is actually a sentimental heirloom. I am also on a buying ban, which is gonna make this interesting, which means that I do not buy items that are not like food or fixing things that I have that are broken. So that means I can invest no money in this channel. So I get all my books actually from, for the most part, from the library or from gifts from other people. I gotta tell you, there is like a level of like Power Ranger like leveling up that a Kindle and a friggin' library card and the Libby app can do to help you read a lot of books for no money. So I think that's kind of interesting. I don't think that's the norm. I'm also I like a lot of genres, okay, that I think are maybe not as popular on booktube. I like hip and trendy books too, okay? I like a good romance. I like a good fantasy. I love a good fiction book. I also really love like sports memoirs. They're great. I love them. I like a lot of history books and things like that I think are less popular because they're drier. Probably so dry. I enjoy a lot of books that I feel like are maybe less loved on booktube. And I'd like to love them a little more. I'd like to find more people who also love occasionally dry ass books. My life is not aesthetic. You're not really gonna see a lot of very pretty pictures. I have a lot of plants. Like, this is how I'm gonna get away with it, is because I have a lot of plants. I'm just gonna show you a lot of B-roll of my fucking plants. I'm not an aesthetic YouTuber. I don't wear makeup. I don't have time for that. I don't care. And there are plenty of people who do that way better than me. So I'm gonna make the content that I enjoy. Number 3, what are you most excited for about this new channel? I'm excited to be a YouTube creator. I've been watching YouTube since I was very small. I'm an elder millennial. But no, I'm most excited about meeting other booktubers, maybe, and other content creators, and making friends who also like books. Basically, I just need to annoy other people with this shit. Number 4, why do you love reading? So I was raised in Alaska. Fun fact about me, I bring this up a lot. You're gonna hear more about it. It's very cold and dark in Alaska, and it's winter most of the time. During the winter, you have copious amounts of time to spend indoors, and things get very boring very quickly. And one of the things that doesn't get boring very quickly is books, because if you're bored with a book, you pick up another one and you go somewhere else. They're transportive. It's why people like booktube. It's why people like reading, because books are interesting and they take you places. It's a vacation that you can go on by turning a piece of paper. I love reading as well because it's something I got to share with my family. I used to love stealing all my dad's like huge, thick history of cod and tulips and books like that, and all his old sci-fi books that he would read when he was a kid. Brother loves like fantasy and fiction, and my mom loves romances and historical stuff and books about like science. Reading was just something you could share in my family that I really enjoy. And when I got to college, I started in the medical field, and reading became something that was dry and boring and super factual, and it was a very means to an end, and I stopped reading pretty much entirely for several years. Over the last decade, I've been trying to fall back in love with reading because it became something that was work and not relaxing, and I'm finally getting to the point where reading is relaxing again for me. God, talking to your phone in an empty bedroom is just so much work. Cool. Number 5, which book or series got you into reading? I'm gonna give the not cool answer, which is the Berenstain Bears. Very up my alley. Fucking love them, okay? Hated the cartoon. I remember it being terrifying. So not the cartoon, but specifically the like thin little, like one story a piece Berenstain Bears books. Loved them. They were fantastic. I remember specifically throwing a giant tantrum to my mother about how I just couldn't read chapter books because they were too long, Mom, and I couldn't do it. And she gave me a book called Mr. Popper's Penguins, which I have no memory of anything about that story. I remember nothing other than the cover was very cute. She gave it to me because it was a book she loved when she was a kid. And it got me into reading chapter books and harder books. And since then, I like thick books, and I cannot lie. I have so many like young adult book series that I loved that were transportive and wonderful, and those are the cooler answers. But the uncool answer is it was the Berenstain Bears and Mr. Popper's Penguins. Number 6, had to count there. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I would ask them practical shit. I would be like, how do I find music that doesn't suck that's for free? I would ask them, how do I make cute graphics? I would ask them, how do I edit, and how long should it take me to do this? How do you make it look so flawless? But those are probably not super interesting questions to you. I will just tell you some of my favorite booktubers because maybe that's more interesting. Booktubers who I love and adore, and maybe this is a small ploy to someday become friends with them. That's probably not going to work out. I've accepted it. It's okay. I love allyvee. I adore Alexandra Roselyn, and I just want to be friends with Ariel Bissett. I love her. She's the Canadian spirit animal who I love and adore. There are many, many other booktubers who I love and enjoy. Those are just my personal 3 favorites that I can think of right now while I'm sitting next to my plants. I'll shout them all out in the comments. They don't need any attention from me, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Number 7, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Editing. I don't do computer shit for my job. Well, I guess I do. I do a lot of medical charting, but I don't edit video for my job. I just type what I did to be like, I saved your life and I applied a blanket, because if it's not in the chart, it doesn't go. So I think editing is going to be really hard for me. I enjoy new challenges and problems, as evidenced by me doing this. I also think being on a buying ban is very helpful because it's going to help me with the other thing, which is resisting the urge to buy a bunch of shit to try to make my YouTube channel the best. Like lots of fancy books and a really expensive camera and all this fancy music stuff for copyright reasons. I'm not gonna buy any of that. This is gonna be free, okay? Because I'm investing 0 money in this and it's gonna feel like it, okay? It's just gonna be me, my love and attention, and $0. But I am actually happy about that. I think it's gonna motivate me to make the content that interests me, that I find interesting, versus trying to create content that's gonna get a lot of clicks. Because I've already accepted that's probably not gonna happen. We're fine with it. Number 8, when did you start reading? So the family legend is that my mother loaned every book in the children's section of my childhood library twice. to read them all to my brother and me for friggin' bedtime. So reading was taken very seriously when I was a child. My parents just never saw it as a waste of time. Like, reading was an activity that it was going to help you in school, so they encouraged it. If you were bored, they would tell you to read. I have very fond memories of like sitting on the floor in Borders bookstore, flipping through the young adult section or reading a bunch of manga. So I only had to buy, because I would get to buy one book. So you would read like 6 and then you would buy the 7th. My parents really always thought it was a worthwhile thing to invest time into. I'd also like to shout out a very Alaska reading competition, because I'm also a competitive asshole. It's a big part of my personality. So in Alaska, there's a dog mushing race. It's called the Iditarod, okay? And it runs from Anchorage to Nome, which is a very long way. I will look up how many states that is. It's a very big distance, takes a long time, and they mush from Anchorage to Nome. So we had a competition that would happen during Iditarod, which was called the Iditareed, because we were so cool, so cool. A+ to the teachers of Anchorage. Basically, you would get a little sled with your name on it, and then if you wanted to get dogs for your dog mushing sled, and you got to like color them in and stuff, you had to read so many minutes or hours to get a dog, and then another one, and then another one, another one. We didn't go anywhere. They stuck them on the hallway and you got to color them in. But I took it extremely seriously. I was a multi-year champion. I took it so seriously that my dad, who at the time was like a running coach, as his like side hustle, I would steal his stopwatch and I would click it when I read anything at all. Like, when I ran out of books, I would read toothpaste tubes and ingredient lists on cereal boxes and cream of wheat, because it was reading and I wanted every freaking minute and every last dog sled dog. So yes, I'd also like to thank being competitive asshole for really helping kickstart my reading, because I read so much that reading became easier, and when reading is easier, you read more because it's less of a pain in the ass. Number 9, where do you read? The name of the channel is The Midnight Reader, and that's because I'm usually reading in bed. I worked night shifts for a long time, was an ICU nurse up until recently, but basically I had to work night shifts a lot, and when you work a lot of night shifts and day shifts, it doesn't make sense to switch back and forth immediately because you get jet lagged. You're basically swapping time zones every few days. So if I was in night shift land, I just wouldn't swap back to day shift land, which meant that I would stay up most of the night and then I'd sleep until the afternoon and then get up late afternoon. That meant I had a lot of time at night in which I needed to do something, a quiet activity, to not wake my loving husband who sleeps during the night. So I spent a lot of time reading from like 11 to 4 in the morning on my Kindle. And I read a lot of books that way. I now keep non-nocturnal hours, but I still wind up reading before I go to bed because I find it's easier for my sleep than if I'm just doom scrolling on my phone. That's less good for your sleep. Studies have shown. So I read before I go to bed. And then I read audiobooks pretty much anytime I'm out and about and up and around. So I have audiobooks when I'm commuting, when I'm cooking, when I'm doing chores and cleaning around the house. I just throw on my phone and on my headphones, and then I'm reading a book. And I feel like it's a good use of my time. 10. What kind of books do you like to read? I like to read lots of different kinds of books, and that's kind of the problem, okay? I like to read everything. I love mystery, I love romance, fantasy, fiction, biographies, sports books, history books, science fiction books. I do like young adult. I kind of don't discriminate. Like, for me, it's fiction or nonfiction. I kind of don't care if it's for young adults or not. There's great books in young adult, there's great books in adult. I like a lot of different books, and I'm a very, I guess the term is mood reader. I usually have 10 books on my Libby account waiting to be read. I have 5 on hold and then 5 on loan. And I pick up and put down a lot of different things as the mood strikes me. My goal is to read 100 books this year, and I am currently on track for that. I am at like 91 right now, and then when I'm filming this, it's early November. So I am hopefully on track to complete that, and if I do, I will have a lot of books to talk about. The ones I loved reading, the ones I did not love reading. Hopefully that'll be fun and interesting. Yep.